All right. Thank you so much for joining the Ariela Perez Miguel channel. Thank you for tuning in. Today, the topic of choice will be the two different paths that you can invest as a real estate investor. You can either be a passive investor or you can be a more active investor. So there are different ways, and some of them do mix. But let's start with the passive investing. So, as a passive investor, you can be someone's lender. So you can be a private money lender and just lend on someone else's deal. So the other person does the work. Like, let's say if it's a fix and flip, they would be doing all the construction, the rehabbing, the monitoring of the rehab, and the disposition or the selling of that property, etc. And you would just be the lender collecting an interest payment for the use of your money. So that is more passive. You don't have to do any work except obviously vetting the deal, making sure that it's a good investment, and then just getting the money, right? The other types of ways of investing more passively is to also invest in a syndication. So that is, in simple terms, it's a way of different investors grouping their money together to go and buy, a multifamily or, something like that. And that's also something where you have to vet the operator, etc. You can be a more involved person where you can be a general partner, or you can be more on the passive side and be a limited partner. And just also, it's a very passive way to invest. And then also there's something called REITs, and that is real estate investment trust. And that is, you can find those, it's almost like in the stock market. You can invest in those. And those are more corporate, and they buy like hotels, etc. And it's extremely passive, and you collect dividends every so often depending on the REIT. Now, on the more active side, you can do different things like flipping yourself. So that's when you buy a property that needs some work, you do the construction, the rehab, the sale. There's also wholesaling, and that is when you purchase a property that's usually deeply discounted, and or you don't purchase, you put it under contract, I should say, and then you assign that contract or the paper to someone else at a higher price, and you make the money, the difference, that is for you. You make that assignment fee. Now, in some states, they actually do require you to close and fully purchase the property, and then you would, do another transaction and sell it that way. But for the most part, wholesaling is known for just putting the property under contract and then assigning it to someone else, the actual end buyer. And there's obviously a more different ways of thinking about it. Like buy and holds can also be divided into more passive and more active. So a more passive way of buying a property is just buying like a single family property, right? And just renting it out long term, like a yearly lease, and that's more passive. You don't get that many calls and then not much follow up, etc. You can hire a property manager to be completely passive. Now, also the buy and hold can also be more active if you do a different strategy, like a midterm rental or a short-term rental. And, the differences between the short-term rental and the midterm rental are short-term rentals, aka Airbnbs. Those are, when you're renting the property for a very short stay. So like people vacationing, they can rent it out for 2-3 days just to stay there, and then they move out, and then you have another person rent it out, right? And typically that is 7 days or less is the average stay for a short-term rental. For midterm rentals, it's usually a 28-day stay or longer. So it's usually a month, at least a month. And those are less active than short-term rental, but definitely more active than the long-term rental. So it's a nice mix of both. So some people like to diversify. They have a mix of passive and active. Other people like to do just passive. Other people like more active because it's more cash flow, obviously, and just more instant gratification. So it just depends on your style and your needs, what you're looking to do, what your long-term views are, etc. So what kind of investor are you, or what investor would you like to be? That's some of the questions that you can ask yourself to help you decide what different strategies you can start doing or look into start doing, right? So that is all I have today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment below if you